Three, two, one, okay?
Okay.
Three, two, one. Hey, Melba, thank you so much for showing up today. Um, Everyone out there, this is Melba. This is someone I worked with for about 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks on our group coaching program. And I just wanted to talk about her journey to get the house. I think she actually got the house a couple weeks after the program finished, but it still works. Was still able to do it. So let's just talk about you, Melba, if you don't mind, just casually. Um, as I mentioned, you don't have to give anything personal if you don't feel like it, but it's just a conversation to see how the process was. So can you tell me a little bit about how it was stepping forward and just sort of getting the idea of real estate investing?
I've actually been wanting to buy a rental property or invest in real estate for probably about a year and a half,
Yeah.
maybe 2 years ago. And I remember I had run across your Facebook page ages ago and had been following you for a while. So I'd pop on when you'd have live videos and things. And when I finally got serious about figuring out really wanting to do it, and I needed to have a process to do it because I knew it was better to go in with a process and a plan than to go in blind and end up losing money. So I looked back into your program that you had. I read a lot about it. I read some more about you and decided to take the plunge. So I did that initial call with you, and I really liked your energy and everything that you had to say. So I was excited to sign up and get started on my journey officially.
Would you say that you're someone who you had the means to invest because you are a little bit more methodical about having a process versus jumping in? I'm just curious if that's just sort of you.
Um, yeah, I do try to have a plan in place. And then once I had the funds and had everything kind of in place, then yes, I was ready to proceed with the process.
Yeah, some people are more of the type just jump in and learn on the way. And then other people are like, no, we're just not going to do that. I'll just
Yeah,
rather wait or take my time.
yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm a risk taker to a point. Like
Okay, just a
I'm a
little
risk taker with
bit.
all the information. So
Okay. And honestly, that's probably what served you so well, right?
mhm.
That because a lot of people don't even have the funds to invest. So before you even get to investing, there is some level of knowing how to just sort of save the money you do make and not spend it all on everything.
Right, right. So yeah, so that was kind of like my thought process. So just to get started with your program and all the videos, you provide a wealth of information from finding the market, how to find the market, which I will use that for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Basically, as
Yes.
I build a portfolio, I mean, that's just invaluable information. So you give the stepping stones to get to the point where you're buying the house. And even your videos, doing the walkthroughs that you did in those videos, and just what you see when you're going in at a certain price point, what you will run into, what is no, we're not doing that, to oh yeah, this is fixable. It may look horrible, but it's fixable. So I
Yeah.
was I ended up going a little bit higher price point just because the market that I was in, I was
Yeah.
probably about 2-3 years too late to get the houses at that price point. But even then, there were still houses that needed some work, a lot of work. So just having that mindset and having given the tools that you gave us, just doing those walkthroughs and knowing that, okay, well, that looks horrible, but really that's fixable. Because I know my realtor would look at some place and be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You
don't
can't listen to
know. But I'd be
realtors.
like, yeah, but I was like, no, this is fixable. It's something, it's cosmetic to a certain
Yeah.
extent. And so it's fixable. So, and
Awesome.
knowing cosmetic from, okay, this is a really big deal. This is foundation. This is going to cost a whole lot of money,
Yeah.
which happened on the first contract that I tried to purchase. So,
Right, right. So were you nervous going in, but as you sort of got the skill development, did that go away? Because it doesn't sound like you had a lot of nervousness on your end. At least not when you
yeah,
were
I definitely,
in.
once I started going through the videos, it was fine, but I still had to get my feet wet putting in an
Yes.
offer. And that was the big thing. Once I put in that first offer, after that, then I felt fine. It took me 4 offers to get accepted. And then the first offer I got accepted on, it needed a huge foundation job, and the
Yeah,
seller
I
was unwilling
remember.
to negotiate the price. So at this next house that I was able to find, it took me about 3 or 4 weeks to find it. It's fantastic. No foundation issues, just needs a vapor barrier in that crawl space. Everything that I'm fixing is cosmetic. It came with a tenant in place, so much
And
better
cosmetic
deal.
ones are real easy to fix. You're just like, boom, just get them in and get them out. They're not these ongoing big things that can
Right,
just sort of. So,
right.
if you would you have done this without sort of going through a program and having guidance and working with someone? Would you have done it? And what do you think would have been the difference energetically with the process for you?
I may have done it, but it probably would have been another 3, 4, 5 years for me to get the confidence up to do it.
Right.
Having, like I said, you gave me the tools to, I had ideas about where I wanted to invest,
Yeah.
which are good markets. But, when I actually started looking at the numbers, you steered me to like, no, you need to be in this market. It's close to you and it's hopping. And you give us the tools to be able to decipher that immediately. Like I can look, I'd look at a place, oh, okay, go run the numbers and I can be like,
Right.
no, that's not, let me keep an eye on it. It's not quite ready to invest in now, but let me keep an eye on it. So I have a list of places like that, because I definitely want to build a portfolio. So I'm going to be looking for my next place to go into. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate those tools that you give us, and you walk us through, and then those weekly calls are great just to see what everyone else is doing and to hear
Yeah.
their stories and how they're getting into their markets. So,
Yeah, and you mentioned the numbers. I'm really data driven, right?
hmm
Like we have to get this information first before I give you my analysis, right? People try to want me to jump, but I'm like, no, I can't. I need the numbers. And the thing
well,
is,
that's important because then you teach us that
yes,
before, oh yeah, it may look exciting, but before we do anything, we
yeah,
have got to look at the numbers first. The first thing we
yeah.
got to do is analyze those numbers.
Get
So
as
I
excited
appreciate,
as you want. No,
right.
no,
Right. No, I
no.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, that's important because it teaches us to do that as well.
Yeah, and then it slows you down a little bit, and that's never a bad
Mhm.
thing when you're going to make a big investment. But also how to read the numbers, because I think a
Yes.
big thing is people learn how to read them. It doesn't always mean the same thing, right? You know
Right.
how some in context you might go this way, but with another piece of data, actually that's not a
hmm
good house. This one's much better because it doesn't have X taking place. And that's always
Right.
something I try to give something like basically, I want you to be able to read the numbers, read a market. And it's not, it's everything. It's what's going on. It's the state of the union. It's this. However, I do find once you get the skill set, you can look at anything and just boom, 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 pop it off and we're done.
Yeah, I mean
That's where I'm
within
at.
within like
You
yeah,
just
but
look.
really with the tools you give us within like 3 weeks, especially
Yes.
doing the calls and
Mhm.
looking at you analyzing other
Mhm.
people's um properties that they're looking at, you really do develop that skill set very quickly.
Isn't it cool? I like to say my invest.
Yeah.
I told you this. I told you my investors are like can go off and talk to anybody about
Oh
investing.
yeah.
And then
Yes.
people, even if they have lots of money, people listen to me. You can
hmm
be a millionaire portfolio, but when I'm talking about what I'm doing, they're like, "What's this?
Right.
What
What are
you
you
doing?"
doing? Come on.
I don't give it all out, you know.
Right, right.
We did enough of that, okay? But I really like to tell people you're learning to read in a way most people haven't done. But the thing is, there's a difference. When you learn how to invest long distance, we have to do
hmm
more due diligence. But that just makes you a
Right,
better investor. You could see more than them because you know what dimensions to look into. Other dimensions people aren't even aware exists, especially if you're new, right? You
right.
want to talk to
Oh
that a
yeah,
little
right.
bit? The dimensions that you
hmm
learned of like layering it to get the full, richer picture.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. What when you think about real estate investing, you got to go in, you got to get a good property, depending on what you're going to do with it, but you really give us that deep dive into each piece of the puzzle. I feel like I got each piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
to the point that it gave me the confidence to be able to go out there and say, okay, well, let me look at this one and let me look at that one. And even though I brought my property after the program was over for me, the tools again that I learned were invaluable because I was able to go
To
saw this.
see
I
it.
literally made an offer on this property the day that I saw it because I knew, especially
Right.
having looked at the market, that this is the one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I need to pay you to get you to give me this property that's a reasonable amount of money. So yeah, I was very aggressive with this offer.
Right. And they're just like, whoa, where's this energy? But the confidence was like, hey, confidence on 10, right?
Right. Oh yeah. I called my realtor. I was like, okay, this is the one. Let's do this offer like now.
And it went through pretty smooth. Not too much back and forth because I sort of preach, take some off, but don't
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah. We
obnoxious.
did do some. Yeah, yeah.
Because
We
then
did
they'll
do
throw it
some
away
back
and
and
not talk
forth.
to you.
Right. And I knew what my tolerance was. And yeah, we did do a little bit of back and forth, but the seller was, we were able to meet in the middle with no problem. So
How do you feel now going through the process? You have a property, you could have done it on your own, but you
mhm.
sort of were saying, no, the confidence in which you're showing up, that came
Yes,
from this. And that's
yes.
something that you really can't just buy confidence like that, knowing exactly what to do. So tell me, like, so you've been through it and now you're in a confident, if you worked with me, you're savvy real estate. I don't say that lightly because I
Hmm.
literally can go in rooms, talk to anyone. I don't care what their status is, they will listen to what I have to say because I just have insights they don't, right?
Hmm.
What would you say
Right.
now about? I like to say everyone enters through a portal when they work with me. You
I,
put a mantle on. Tell me about who you are now as just you could be an investor, but just in life because you learned a skill set
um,
that most people think is challenging, and me and you can do off the top of our heads.
right. Yeah, no, it's given me a good amount of confidence to walk into any room, still being a novice investor, but having enough information and being able to talk, because I'm analyzing the deal in such a way or analyzing the deal in such a way that I can go in and talk to anyone, no matter how many years they've been doing real estate
Has that
investing.
happened already?
I've been in a few groups, yeah, and
Yeah.
had some conversations so far.
Did you see the look in their eyes when like they go from like just normal interest to like, do you know something I don't?
Right, yeah, maybe
Do
you
you
know what
see
you're
that
talking
shift
about
in
a
the
little bit,
energy?
yeah. Right, yeah.
Okay. Like, what? What? Okay, maybe we could talk a little bit longer. Pete, can you hold on? I just want to finish this with the.
Yeah,
I
so,
always like that. I always
yeah.
like that feeling, especially coming from, I mostly work with Black professionals, although you saw on the call, it's getting
Hmm.
diverse, which is fine. But it's
Right.
sort of nice in this world and community to see people accomplished who look like us really showing our skills and bona fides, you
Yes.
know?
And not being afraid to walk into those rooms,
Yeah,
Now I
intimidation's a
have a lot more
thing.
confidence to walk in. Before it was like, oh, I want to do this, but should I go to this meeting? Should I go to that meeting? And now I have a lot more confidence walking into that meeting.
I think it's important. I think it's important for you to know that, oh, we can hang.
Hmm.
And like at the end of the day, everybody want like what we do is it's very special. We don't have, these horror stories about investing in the lower price ranges, right?
Right.
We're
Right.
actually, no, it's actually pretty smooth. What are you doing? But I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not just smooth because we're lucky. Like the level
Right.
of
Yeah.
dimensional and I'll say it, multi-dimensional analysis of every market and of every house, even of the tenants that are in it, goes
Yeah.
into it. So it's not like it's idle. But once you have that multi-dimensional view of like markets and I like to say it's like quantum leaping. So all of a
Hmm.
sudden, a house that's an hour away, because I think you did an hour away.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, when you learn how to invest long distance, it's a quantum leap. So something that was an obstacle, even though it's here, it becomes here. It's no
Yeah.
difference. No difference than if it was in my across the street or 2 hours away. There's absolutely no difference, right? And once you
Right.
do that, all of a sudden finding the deal is not a big deal. All of a sudden, you hear stories about Trump and like how he started and he'd get on a plane and go to Singapore or whatever. He's going, I don't know the whole story. But like the idea of just like, well, just get up and go and do what you have to do becomes real easy, would you say? And once that becomes easy, continuing your
You'll do it again.
portfolio is not a big deal.
Right. Yeah. And that was the thing. I needed the stepping stones to
Mhm.
get me to make the leap. So
Mhm.
yes, now that I've done it, I'm like ready to do it again. So
So do you have anyone in the family who's sort of kept tabs and what do they think and how do they
that's
view you now? Because I know I'm viewed differently. Like they listen when I talk. And for me,
right.
that's a big deal because I was always the youngest and I always looked younger and I'm a little bit more perkier sometimes. So sometimes that does not indicate to like you have to take her word serious when it comes to financial matters. But at this point, pretty much everyone takes me seriously. And I
Hmm.
like that. I think I earned it. But for you, I like seeing it within my clients when they do it, how their family and friends look at them differently. So you can tell me a little bit about like your stature, a little bit when it comes to everyone else around you, including spouses or Finny or kids, or what do they think? Or how does that
Um,
change their view of you and how they view you?
my sister has pretty much kept tabs. I'm not one of those people. I'm trying to be a little bit better about this, about, hey, guess what I did? I just really don't
Okay.
talk. I've never been one of those people that talk about myself a lot. But my sister, I mentioned to her probably about a year or so ago that I was interested in doing this. So she's kind of kept tabs. So when I found your program and talked to her about that, she's like, okay. And then I, kind of talked to her, oh, I've learned this and I've learned this, this is a great information. And then when I finally made the plunge, she was the first person to say, I'm very proud of you. This is very exciting
It
to,
is.
to see you do just walk in this walk. So
Yeah, it is exciting. And so this is what I like to tell people when they work with me. I'm like, you're gonna like it. You're gonna be seeing these properties. You're gonna see houses. You're gonna be seeing opportunities that
mhm.
I can almost guarantee you did not see it before you walk in. I don't know why, but before people get with me, they can't see it. As soon as they get with me, they
Right.
see thousands, right? You see hundreds, right? How many did you see?
Yes.
Over and over.
Oh, a
But they
ton.
couldn't see
Yes.
one before they worked
Right.
with me.
Right.
I don't know the metaphysics behind that. I really don't. They could be looking at the same city and one person like there's something energetic about it. Um so they it definitely they come in, they can't see, and then they can. And I like to tell people, you've heard me say it, this is a game. Once you know the rules, it's a game.
Yes.
And I'm a little
Absolutely.
blasé about it. I'm like, "Ah, it's just a game." People are all worried and worked up. I was like, don't worry, we'll find you a property. Like,
Right.
because
Right.
it's just a game for me. And that's what I'm teaching you guys. I like to just teach you the game of it. And that's a big thing to say about real estate, but it really is. And I don't say that with any bravado, right? Like, I've been doing this long enough. I've been getting results long enough for like, I'm saying it because it's a fact at this point. It's just written in the code at this point, what we're going to do. But it is a game, and once you learn the rules, and I do teach the rules. I teach you
Mhm.
every rule. I teach you
Yeah.
all the rules,
Right.
from real estate to tenants to this to numbers to location to all of the rules. How to read the
Mhm.
numbers, analysis. But once you get it, I don't know. It's sort of fun, right? And then it's just a moment of like, okay, let me save up for the next one. And it becomes a
Right.
fun thing. I think it's fun. I just bought some land and I'm going to put a house on it, probably a manufactured home, because that keeps it
Okay.
low cost.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it just keeps going, you know? Like it doesn't stop. So tell me about like, do you see why sometimes I say it's a game? Once you know the rules, it's easy to just find it. And one of the rules and one of the game pieces I gave you or other people, the biggest piece is learning how to collapse the difference in the right strategic smart way where it's not a big deal, because you got to do that part right. So what would you say
Right.
about like the fact that you've heard me say that it's just a game? Once I tell you the rules, you'll be cool. This ain't a big deal.
Right. Yeah, no, that is very true because once you do know the rules of how to pick the properties and how to pick the markets, it is you just go in there and you start looking and you pick one.
Yeah, yeah.
And you
But
roll
before
the
it's like,
dice and see what happens. Yeah.
yeah,
Make
yeah.
that
Or
offer and hope it gets accepted.
well, the good part of the game is that this is real money.
Yes.
This is real equity.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I think
Hmm.
you probably did you tell me a little bit more about yours. Did you walk into because you were in a fast market, very competitive, multiple
Right.
offers, people were there, sight unseen. You were competing with that, right?
Right.
But
Oh yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
walked into equity regardless.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
Mhm.
I did walk into equity. So I'm excited about that just to be able to do that. So
And how do you feel about your market? We're not going to say what the market is. Find it yourself or work with me. But
um
tell us about your
it,
market because it was like a
yeah,
market
things
that's like moving, 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 moving. Like
right.
everyone knows about this market. Everyone wants to
Yes.
get in. I see
Hmm.
why. I saw why before it happened. I saw this 6 years ago. Y'all late. I know about every market that's moving. Like
Hmm.
duh. But it's moving now. All the investors I found out, this is the one. So tell me about being in like a very fast-paced market, paying a little bit more to be in that market, which in certain markets I would highly recommend because your equity.
Hmm.
Listen, my house, I bought for 200, 2 years, 2019. It's worth 320. Like legit, not fake Zillow worth
Right.
320.
Right.
Like around the corner, it's selling for 320. Right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, 3 years and $120,000 in equity, right?
Right. Right.
Like that's the kind of market you're in, I think. Actually, yours is at a faster pace than mine. So tell
Hmm.
me about the market, you just deciding on this market, why you decided on it, even though we had to go a little higher in price point, and what you still love about it.
I guess this market, because I was trying to look far away,
Mhm, mhm.
um, and some places that I do visit often throughout the year. But
You were.
yeah, but being in this market, it's close, so I can get up there and take a look at something if I want to go do that. But it's also, I didn't even know that this market was doing what it's doing
Yeah.
until you said, well, let's look a little closer to
Look at the
home. And
numbers.
I really started, you gave me the skill set to look at the numbers, and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
That's what's going
Here
on.
are some places that are doing it. It was a little scary going into a market that was moving so fast, because
Yeah.
things would literally come onto the market and be gone within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes before we could even get over to take a look at something, it was already off the market.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of scary being new at it to go into a market like that. But again, once I got my feet wet, making my first offer on something, making the offers got a little bit easier as I found the properties that I was interested in. And I was willing, the way I did it, I went in with cash.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out something to give me a little bit of a leg up. So going in with cash and being able.
There and see it. And let's just, I'm gonna follow on from that. So, do
Okay.
you think you might go into this market again?
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely be willing, because it is a growing market. It's I think there's some new job opportunities coming to this market as well. I've been reading some things about that, and also I just think the dynamics of the city are changing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's I really do think it's probably going to turn into something similar to the city that I live in now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to go that route just because of where it's located and the
Yeah.
proximity.
Yeah.
So yes, I would definitely buy a second time in this market, or a third time if I get the
Are
opportunity.
the
So
prices going up though? Because I know sometimes you're like, look, I got in at X 80, but now it's like 100. And then you get in
well,
at 100, then it's 120. Then you get 120, then it's 140. So
right,
did
right,
it
right.
sort of take a, because I've seen this, has it taken a leap where like that bottom pressure is definitely shifted up a couple, like 20,000?
Yeah, like again, I wish I had gotten in or been doing this even 2 years ago would have been a better price
Oh, yeah.
point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because definitely the prices are changing like that, and just watching the homes that I did see on the market that I was interested in, they're coming back on the market for almost double what they were bought
Yeah,
for.
that's what
So,
that, and that's why I'm like sometimes it's
mhm,
okay to pay more and be in
yeah,
that market. The
right.
last couple clients who I've had on these videos doing the casual chats, it was all those type of markets, but they're walking into like 20,000 in equity within a couple months because they're
Right.
still on the bottom. It's not until
Hmm.
those houses get into the 250 range that it'll slow down, but that's
Right.
basically the trajectory. One of my properties I bought for 25K because our working class neighborhoods, we catch everybody shifting down
Hmm.
because it's a nice neighborhood. It's still decent. You get 1,100 square feet, 3 bedroom, 1 bath. So the people shifting down, they shift to our neighborhoods to get that cheaper rent. To
Hmm.
get $1,100 in rent or 1,200 versus 1,800, right?
Right.
So we're
Right.
capturing all those people because 1,800 is not hitting it. Um,
Right. Right.
you know what I mean? But you're definitely walking into it, and it's just like those are the ones. Oh yeah, I was saying my property that I bought in Richmond, which is 10 minutes from Virginia Commonwealth University.
Mm.
I'm putting that house on the market. That's worth 220. I bought my house for 200. This house is
Right.
3 times the size. But the way that we pick these locations is just
Mhm.
consistent that one day you look up. So that 220 is pretty consistent because I've had other clients buy for 60, then sell for 210, right?
Mhm.
Or get that 210 in value. There's something about where we choose that when it rises to about the 200 mark, give or take 20K in either direction. But
Mhm.
because of the size and space and that it's still a decent neighborhood, because we choose decent neighborhoods that don't have high crime, it's the
Right.
most desirable for those shifting down. Plus, it has a little bit of the size. I like anywhere from 900 to 1,200 square feet. That's
Right.
enough size where someone shifting down, it's still better than an apartment where they're
Mhm.
paying 1,700 but only had 800 square feet. You know what I mean? So they're still getting more and they're happy to pay 1,200 versus 1,800. But that's the reality. Like places are getting up there in those rents, and so mine's worth 220. So I'm putting that one on the market now. I'm going to pay off my current home just, for pure
Mhm.
financial freedom. But, 2013, I bought it. 2022, by 2023, 10 years in this game when I just started and I'm all like impressionable and 29 and just I gotta get freedom because I don't like working for people because these people I'm just a better business owner. I'm
Right, right.
way better a business owner than I am an employee because they weren't doing things right and I do in my business. But 10 years and to be like, yeah, like I sold one of them, I paid off my house, some of the money I'm going to use to pay off to build on the land I just purchased out in the
Hmm.
mountain region, a little mountain home because it's hot as heck by the
Oh
water
yeah,
during the
yeah.
summer, especially with global warming. It is hot. Like I need to
Right,
be out. I need to be in the mountains, man, or it's a cool 75.
right, right.
But to like just look up and be like, and you're going to see this as well in the market you're in because it's not going to stop till it gets to the 200 something mark, the neighborhoods
Hmm.
you're buying in. To look up and be like, yeah, I'm financially free within 10 years. And that can look different. It could be maybe you're making 10,000 a month in income. It could be like you got enough equity where you paid off all your bills and your assets and you have no debts. Regardless, right? And I'm going to be what 41 next year. I'm cool with that. This was so much better than working in corporate America where they use the hammer of silent class against you, which now that
Hmm.
I'm aware of it, I'm just like, you knew what you were doing. They use a lot of silent hammers against you to like sort of nail you in place so that you
Hmm.
can't advance. A lot of silent hammers, right? I just had to leave, but within 10 years to be able to be like, yeah, we're good. Yeah, I don't have debt. Yeah, I sold one of my properties. Or we took some of the equity out and did X. I'm like,
Right.
sign me up for that. At 41, that's amazing. Like, I'm cool with this. What, like, and it's nothing great. I didn't do anything crazy. It's a very
Hmm.
logical, structured way. I just started, but the nature of the beast, once you learn how to do analysis the way we do and check out neighborhoods the way we do, you
Hmm.
get the
Hmm.
benefits of 10 years in being the it place that people can afford.
Right, right. Yeah, and
That,
it's interesting you say that because I just think of had I had the skill set when I bought my home that I currently live in, um, and my equity doubled
yeah,
from what I paid for it when I purchased it. But just to have had that skill set back then, who
yeah,
knows where I
game
would have ended
changer.
up buying. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Game
absolutely.
changer, right? You would have been
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I bought three of them for like 50K and they're all worth 200K and now I have $800,000. Like, yeah, and
Right,
that's
right. Yeah.
these are real stories that my clients get to say that I get to say. My client, like, because you're a reflection of me. So all I want to end on for everyone is all of my clients, we've always been on a 5 to 10 year journey. It's never been
Mhm.
more than that to financial freedom. That can mean you have 5 rental properties ranking you 4,000 a month in cash flow. It could also be like maybe you have five, maybe you sell two, pay off all your debts, you're financially free, and any money you make is yours, and you don't have to stress, but you still have three others bringing in income. It can look a lot of ways. It's modest. It's
Mhm.
just it calls your time investment and being strategic because I'm very, very strategic. I don't want
Mhm.
you to think we just buy cheap houses. Do we do that or is it strategy everywhere?
Oh, it's definitely, and again, like I said,
Every
I
level.
appreciate you being a numbers person because you force us to start at the numbers.
Yeah. And you've seen
Um,
people come in excited and you're like,
yeah,
slow down.
right, right. Stop, slow down. Where's your data? Give me your data. Let's look at the
You
data. So
saw
I
them
really,
trying to push me, and I'm like, I'm not doing this until you get it back. They're
right.
just like,
No, and I
did you
respect.
just tell me you're not? Yes, I did. Do what I told you to do, okay? And
Right,
trust
right,
the
right.
process. Trust me,
Hmm.
which you
Hmm.
did. You didn't give me any
Yes.
pushback. I was like, do it like this. You did it like this. We got our results. Some people were trying to like not do it and do their own thing. Got to trust
Right,
the
right.
process.
No, no, no. And that's the thing. Like I said, I was ready to do it.
And be,
And so I was looking for someone that could give me the tools to do it. So I picked you.
yeah,
I'm going to listen. I picked you for a reason. So
it's been a pleasure.
yes,
Well,
no, thank you. I appreciate it.
okay,
I
it's
love
been
your energy. So you've been
oh
great to work with.
good. I'm like this in my coaching calls, folks. There's you don't get any
Yes,
change.
she's exactly the same.
Don't get any change whatsoever. Yeah, I'm really proud of you. I'm always proud of all my clients because and it's not it's I'm more proud because of you're proud. Does that make sense? Because I know
Yes.
within
Mhm.
you and every single person I work with, there is a new level of ownership to their finances, financial freedom, their abilities, and their knowledge
Yes.
of their abilities to achieve
Yes. Yes.
in a way most people
Absolutely.
just don't have. And real estate is the way through wealth. So you have this knowledge of wealth building that's
Hmm.
absolutely amazing and fundamental, right? And
Yes.
it's in you and you know it and everyone around you know it and there's an energy you now give off. There's a higher vibration level that you're in. You're in, like I'm
Hmm.
in a different high vibrational level because of my knowledge and skill and enlightenment level, right? that no one
Right.
can ever take from me.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. And that's the thing.
And
Like I'm
that's what I
learning the
love.
skills. I know them, and I have them now, like permanently.
Right.
So
Yeah. And you're going to pass that on to your kids. So with all this inflation,
yes.
you know, you've heard me bring Layla on. And with all this inflation, what do you think I'm teaching my daughter? I'm like, hey, Layla, what are we going to do if everything costs more and there's inflation? She's 5. And
Hmm.
what does she learn from mommy? What are we
Yeah.
going to do when there's cost of everything's rising? She says,
Right. Right.
make
Yeah.
more money. I'm like, okay, that's the lineage I'm now teaching my kids. Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
just got to make more.
Yes. Yeah. And
She could have
like
said
you
cut
said,
money. She could have said cut, but that's not what
oh,
I'm
right.
teaching her.
Right, right. And talk about kids, and that was a definitely a motivating factor for me. Is to I want to leave generational wealth. That is one of my goals. So I'm starting my journey to do that.
And I will say this, sometimes what I'm noticing with my child, sometimes that's not actually leaving a house, that's generational wealth.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's seeing them you achieve,
Yes.
right? Like for them to be able to say, my mom was, you know how many people I've worked with where they're like, well, my mom and dad were investors back in the day. It's
Hmm.
in them, right?
Right.
And then they work with me to continue it. So sometimes it's not even like money itself, it's the knowledge that this is something that they can do because mommy did it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And
that in
I
itself is
definitely want to
enough.
impart that onto her. Yes.
Right. And that's
Absolutely.
enough for them to
Hmm.
always be willing and not so scared to take the step. And that's a curse you're breaking, the lack of
Yeah.
fear now, because you've
Hmm.
seen it. And the hope is that they go on to do even something bigger. But listen, if they want to stay in real estate their whole life, so bad. Look, when I get money, I buy crypto real estate, whatever. I'm buying an asset, you know?
Right.
So I'm gonna keep on doing that. It's just what I do. It might change. The house I'm getting up there will be more of an Airbnb rental.
Hmm.
Then it will be a straight rental, but that's okay because diversity is good. But
Yes.
it's you know, you can stay with real estate and just do the different forms of real estate for the rest of your life, right? And still
Right.
always
And there's
come
so
out
many
because
out there.
and you have an
Yes.
asset. And
Hmm.
right now with, you know, Vanguard, BlackRock, these big multi, and there's more than them. Those are just the ones I know about, but apparently there's like 15 others that have been buying land. It's low inventory. That's not changing. They're not
Right.
selling.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
going
And
to
I'm
be
not
low inventory central. So
right, right. And
what does
I'm
that
not
mean?
scared to stay in the game. I
Mhm.
have my first one. None of these talks out here are making me scared to stay in the game and keep going.
So, our last question, are you happy you invested your time with me in the program?
Yes, absolutely. Because again, had I not, I think it would probably have been another 2 to 5 years before I was willing to take the leap. And getting your tools that you gave me are invaluable, and they enabled me to take that leap now versus 2 to 5 years from now. So yes, I'm very happy that
I
I
love
invested. It was worth the investment in me. I finally have gotten to a point in my life where in order to get further, I understand that I have to invest in me. So me and hiring you was investing in me.
it was. It was. You're investing in the easier way.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
at that level. I pretty much don't do anything without like I want to hire someone, you're telling me what to do. I'm taking shortcuts. We're not doing this the long way. I just don't
Right,
have time.
right.
Once you have a kid, I'm like I just don't have time. I just don't.
Hmm. And like you said, you've been through the trenches,
Oh yeah.
made all the mistakes. So what you're teaching us is, without the mistakes. So why not learn that?
And I would love to be a fly on the wall when you go to your local RIA meetings, just to see how they react. Because it's sort of funny. Because I'm not known. Like I don't just put everything out there. But they start
Right.
talking to me, and I was like, "Oh no, this is what we do," and da 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 da. And they're like, "So what markets are you in?" I'm like, "Oh, that's just what I tell my clients, you know." But they're everywhere. You just have to know how to
Right,
find them.
right.
But it's funny, like I'd love to be a fly on the wall with all my clients when they go out into the world and they start talking and we're talking about something a bit revolutionary. Like people have done
Hmm.
it, but we're doing it right, you know?
Right.
And I'd love to just see their eyes shift from like casual conversation to like, oh, wait, wait, wait. Because I know when it's a shift, when like you become someone that might be able to make them money in some way, shape, or form, and you're
Right,
so
right.
much more valuable to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's a funny thing to watch the shift, right? Like, I'm like, okay, wait for it, wait for it, wait. Oh, you realize you weren't talking to a lightweight. That's cute,
Right, right.
really cute. Thank
Well,
you. Yes, I'll come to your next meeting. but I just sort of like it.
Right.
I do like people respecting my intellectual capabilities. Yes, I'm not
Yes,
gonna lie.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so we'll end on that. Thank you so much for this casual chat about your experiences, and I'm super happy for you. And keep us updated on the next property.